And welcome back, everyone. So I have continued exploding this. I am done in this view and ready to start this drawing. Notice up here on the screen I have this explode view 1 and explode view 2. You should only see explode view 1. Remember, I have two exploded views here because this is a finished file for me. Notice if I right click now and say collapse 2, and right click on one and then say explode, they look a little different. They're not exploded exactly the same, and I have a bunch of these lines in here as well. We'll cover that topic later. For these set of videos, I am using exploded view 2. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and explode it because that's what I'm mostly interested in seeing, and let's create this drawing. So here, when I am in this assembly file, I can come up to my file dropdown and say make drawing from assembly. And ultimately what that's going to do from a SolidWorks perspective is it is going to open a new blank drawing file, create a link back to this assembly file that we see on screen, and populate a number of all of the views that are either named or standard in this scenario, right? So I get 6 orthographic views and 3 three-dimensional views. If I had named any, in fact I had, right, this meteorite that we covered in class, this view would show up on that palette as well. Okay, so let's do that. File, make drawing from assembly. There is a drawing. Do I want to open this file? No, I want a new one. Let's hope I can make that happen. So I want it to be a B size drawing. And I'm going to click OK. I will load a new title block, or it loads automatically for me. And I can see the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 orthographic views, the 3 three-dimensional, and then there is another isometric but called exploded. And of course then there's a current view as well. It is interesting. I think in this isometric exploded I'm going to have to choose either explode view 1 or explode view 2. But we'll cover that. So all I'm going to need to accomplish at this point is I'm going to populate this new blank drawing file with 2 assembly views. So I'm going to, in this particular case, take this isometric view first, and I'm going to drag it down into the lower left corner. I simply let go with my mouse, and I get this teeny little view down there. So I'm going to organize my screen a little bit. I'm going to pan that to the right, and I'm going to expand my property manager because I'm going to need to be using a lot of selections over here. So step 1 is we want this little view down here to be larger. So all we need to do is change its view scale. On the left, for the properties of this view, I can see that there is a scale option, and I'm going to ask SolidWorks to use a custom scale, and I'm going to ask SolidWorks to use a scale of 1 to 2. It gets larger, it's stuck down in the corner. I'm actually going to drag it just a little bit. Notice I want to hover over the edge of the drawing view until I can see that cross. And I'm going to put it just as far as I can into that bottom left corner. The next thing I'd like to do is to change this to a shaded view. This 3D isometric is pretty much in place for reference for someone who's going to be assembling this guide rod. So I want it to be as pictorially kind of reasonable to look at and instantly understand what I'm seeing. So I'm going to ask SolidWorks to have a display style and assign it to be shaded with edges. And so now I see some colors and shading. So I'm going to come back now and try and put this exploded view on the page. So I'm going to hit the green check and be done modifying this view 1. And To bring that palette back up, I'm going to choose the fourth icon down, which is View Palette. So I'll click on that and all of my views come right back up. So I'm going to click and drag this exploded isometric view, and I'm going to drop it kind of somewhere in the middle of the sheet. And of course, it's way too small as well. I could change the custom scale, but in this particular case, I think I'm going to show a different method. So I'm going to click the green check mark. And when I right click on this sheet 1, I have an option. I guess I want to right click on the sheet format 1. I get an flyout menu, and I have the ability to look at properties. So I'm going to look at the properties of this sheet format. So I'll left click, and there is a scale associated with all the views that I want to put on this sheet. I'm going to make this basic scale 1:1, apply changes, and notice all of a sudden this view gets much larger. I'm going to drag it into place, and I also want to highlight on my screen, notice there's already these phantom lines, and what that means is that this view in reality is that already finished view. So what I would prefer to have on here is that view that I just created, that exploded view 2. And up here in the properties of this view, I have the option of which one I want to choose. So I'm going to choose exploded view 2. And those lines disappear and the part's reoriented a little bit. So this way I get a chance to be working through the same steps that are going to be needed from scratch. Okay, so we have the 2 main views that we need on this drawing. We have some additional work to do. We need to add a bill of materials, a revision table, and put in annotation. I'm going to keep each section of this video tied to one topic, so I'll close this chapter here, and in the next section we'll come back and we will add a bill of materials in the upper left-hand corner. Look forward to seeing the next section and hope this is helpful.